let's talk about the visa application. That is the ILR application in itself. I think it's still a kind of visa, or am I wrong? I don't know. You know what I'm talking about. Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. It's your girl, the Nurse Lily. This video is going to be one in the series of videos I'm going to be making covering the period up to when I got my naturalization. First things first, guys, I think that I need to talk about the funding needed for ILR before anything else. Although people know that at some point they will be eligible to apply for the ILR, I found that a lot of people leave saving for this application till when it's nearly the time. My advice would be there is no time you start saving for your ILR that is too soon. Visa applications in the UK, I've said it in my previous video, it's cost between me and my family, myself, my two boys, my husband, it's cost us nearly £20,000 to be able to go through all the visa processes to get to our naturalization. So I can't even stress enough the importance of applying discipline while saving for all your visa processes. To apply for your ILR, there are a lot of things to consider. One of the criteria for being able to get your ILR is that you are on a legit visa and that you have been on that visa for 5 years in my case, because if you are on a different type of visa, for instance the innovator visa or the global talent visa, or you are in the UK as a sports person, that type of visa only allows you to stay on it for 2 or 3 years and then you'll be eligible to apply for your ILR. So in my case, I stayed 5 years on my tier 2 skilled worker visa before I was able to get my ILR. Another eligibility criteria is that you must meet the salary or financial requirement, at the time you are applying, and this is also dependent on the type of job you were doing. So for people on a tier 2 skilled worker visa, your salary must be at least £25,600 at the time you are applying. So the job that you are doing in the UK must be able to pay you this amount for you to qualify. Another important eligibility criteria is the number of time you must have continuously lived in the UK leading to the time you apply for ILR. For instance, you are not allowed to stay out of the UK for a total of 180 days in each year. Okay, or 540 days in the total number of years you have been in the UK. So 180 days comes up to 6 months, and 540 days comes up to 18 months. I believe that's 1 year and 6 months. So in this specified time, they do not want you to have stayed up to this amount of time in your qualifying period leading to the time you apply for your ILR. Now let's talk about the documentations you need to apply for your ILR. Number one thing you need is your valid current passport. At the time you're applying, you must at least have 6 months validity on it. If for any reason you have lost your previous passport, when applying for ILR, it's not going to be a problem as long as you're able to prove that you've had this passport in the past and that while it was missing, you reported its absence to the police. Those documentations will be able to support your claim that you've had that passport in the past. The second thing you need is your BRP, your biometric resident permit, which you had in the last visa that you are on in the UK with before applying for your ILR. Another document you need is the result of a life in the UK test. Now, this life in the UK test, I'm going to be making a separate video about that one because people underrate the importance of being really well prepared before going to write their life in the UK test, because if you don't prepare for it, it will humble you. Just bear that in mind. You also need a documentation that proves that you can speak good English. It looks like if you are coming into the UK like to live as an international person, we cannot run away from proving our English language proficiency. When I was applying to register with the NMC, I had to write an IELTS to show that I can read and understand and speak English. And now that I'm applying for my ILR, I still have to prove that I've been living in the UK for the past 5 years and I still have to prove that I have the right English language proficiency. So, but don't you worry, as long as you have, been in the UK for a while, your education qualification at the time you're applying, fingers crossed, should be enough to prove that you have got the right English language proficiency. At the time you're applying, the organization you work for must be willing to give you what we call a certificate of employment. Okay, so this will show that your services it's still being required, and on that letter they will state the name of your organization, what job you are doing, what salary bracket you are at the time you are applying, and they will definitely state that you are permanently employed or you are employed as a part-time person, and that the services you are providing, they still definitely need you to be working for them. So make sure that while gathering all your documentations that you've already spoken to your HR. Depends, the time they might take to process it varies from one organization to the other. So to be on the safe side, please try and let them know weeks even before you start your ILR application. During your application for ILR, there is a section that asks you, how long you've been absent from work. And to help you do this, ask your HR or ask your IT people to show you where you can find a list of all the times you've been absent from work, maybe due to sickness or probably you traveled on a holiday, and make sure that whatever it is you're putting on your application will correspond with the letter you get from your employer. Another document you need is the birth certificate of, say for instance, you're applying for your children or you're applying for your partner. You need their details as well handy at the time you are applying. So in my case, I did not apply for my children when I did my ILR because I felt like there was no need for it. You will also be needing proof of address. Proof of address could be something like a tenancy agreement. It could be your mortgage papers if you own your home. It could also be electric bill. It could be your council tax. It could be your bank statement. But with the electric bill or council tax or your bank statement, make sure that you've had them in the last 3 months. Now let's talk about the visa application itself. That is the ILR application in itself. I think it's still a kind of visa, or am I wrong? I don't know. You know what I'm talking about. So now when it's time to apply for your ILR, you can start this application 28 days leading to the end of your 5-year period. As is my case, I had to be in the UK for 5 years from the time I got my tier 2 skilled worker visa to the time I was applying. So say for instance, the end date of my 5-year in the UK on my tier 2 skilled worker visa would be on the 28th of June 2022. What this means is that I can start my visa application on the 1st of June. To then start your application properly, just go on the UK website, register your email, and they will verify it. It's really a straightforward online process. I cannot emphasize this enough. I mean, if you are busy or if you have circumstances requiring you to use a visa solicitor or an immigration expert, by all means, go ahead and do that. But if you are like me and all your documentations, all your stages of staying in the UK has been really straightforward, you don't need to use an immigration expert or advisor. And through each stage of the process, you are able to save your progress and then come back at a time that suits you. All right, so while I was applying for my own ILR, I can't even count how many times I start, fill in a bit of what I can and close it and then come back again. And at the time you start your application, they are going to be able to leave that application progress open for a period of 3 months, I believe. And after 3 months, they will just assume that you do not want to carry on with that visa application. So once you have verified your email address, and then you can start the application process, all the questions that they are asking, you can be able to fill in your response to all those questionnaires. And for the ones that you don't understand, they will always leave like an explanation for what they are trying to get you to provide. And another thing that I feel people don't make use of more often is that there is a helpline for visa applications. If all else fails and you are not able to get the information you need for the question that you want to ask, call them on the phone. That's what the number is there for. Get the information you need. It's better for you to spend like 2 or 3 minutes or even 30 minutes on the phone waiting to get the right information than for you to guess and then at the end of the day you got the information wrong. They can't be able to refuse your visa. You do not want that to happen. Nobody wants to waste all that money, waste all that time getting their visa application done only to get a denial. So the cost of applying for ILR is currently £2,389. If you want to get the result of your ILR out a lot quicker, then you have to pay an extra £800, and that way you can get it back within 1 week. And as soon as you're done with the payment part, you've submitted your application, the next thing you have to do is then register for an appointment with UK VCAS. So UK VCAS is simply UK Citizenship Application Services. When I applied for my ILR in 2021 last year, I paid £72 to be able to get an appointment. If you also want a priority service with the UK VCAS, you have to pay a bit more to get an appointment. Now, how long does it take for your ILR to come to you after you have submitted your application? So I say that it depends. Some people are lucky, they get it earlier than others, but on the UK government website, it says that it might take anywhere between 3 to 6 months for your application to go through. And remember that there are certain things that might delay or might make your process longer than normal. So if you're missing out on any documentation, so if there has been some mistake with dates or anything like that, they will call you or send you an email to verify, and that might make the application process longer. But ordinarily, it takes within 3 to 6 months. In my own experience, I got my ILR within 2 months, and it was up to 2 months because I waited for 1 month to be able to get my biometric appointment. So once your application comes through, they usually send you an email to say that they have considered your application and they're happy to say that it has been approved, and then they send you your BRP, your biometric residence permit. They send that to you out in the post within 10 days. It usually comes that day you get the email. It usually comes, like a day or 2 days after that, and that's all about it really. That's it. After getting your ILR, if the next step is to go ahead and get your naturalization done immediately, you have to sit on your ILR for 1 year. If you are married to a British person, like as in someone who is already a British citizen, once you get your ILR, you don't have to wait on it for 1 year. You can go right ahead immediately and apply for your British citizenship. But if that is not the case, you have to wait on it, like I did, for 1 year. And once your 1 year is over, then you can go ahead and apply for your naturalization. So what's the benefit of having an ILR? One of the biggest benefits to me of having an ILR is that it's the last bus stop of all your visa extensions. You don't need to extend your visa any further. Once you have your ILR, it's 1 year from there, and then you are hitting your British citizenship. So to me, that is a huge progress, okay? Because the money we spend on visa processing, you already know. I think it's the most important in all the visa processing, because I know a lot of people that are on ILR that are not really in a hurry to get their naturalization, because these things cost money, darling. They cost a lot of money. The beauty of it is that having an ILR, it allows you to be able to assess a lot of things, be it education, be it applying for benefits, switching jobs without worrying about your contract expiring and all of that. As I mentioned, you are no longer going to be extending any visas, and this means that you no longer have to pay the immigration surcharge. That immigration surcharge, oh my god. So I'm going to be reading out to you a few benefits that you can get once you are able to obtain your ILR. So things like state pension credit, working tax credit, child tax credit, social fund payment, housing benefit, council tax reduction, domestic rate relief if you are in Northern Ireland, universal credit, personal independence payment. I'm going to put a link of all the things that you can get once you obtain your ILR in a link down below, so you can have a look. It's a really valid, to me, a lot of people value it more than they value the naturalization. The best benefit I got after having my ILR is that my children got 30 hours free to attend nursery. Okay, that is the preschool. Before then, we were not able to afford it. Anybody in the UK will tell you how much childcare costs. What it costs to get your child in the nursery, it will be topic for another day, because the kids were in the nursery for 36 hours every week. So I get the 30 hours free, and then I pay for the extra 6 hours on top of that. It was still something to pay, but it was nowhere near what I would have paid if my kids did not have the 30 hours free. So thank you so much for watching this video, and until my next video, I hope you look after yourself. Take care. Bye now.